world. Now the roof seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Monday night live, Monday night call-in show. Boy, what's the time? Listen, there's a new format for today's show. We're trialing a new format for today's show. No one who calls in is allowed longer than 5 minutes to make their point. After 5 minutes, I'll be timing everybody's call. Now, after 5 minutes, if you hear the following come on, it means your time is up. Let's just trial it now. So I'm now going to put on the voice of somebody who's calling in. Well, say Machel, you know that that was a very poor Trini accent there. If after 5 minutes you hear this,
Go suck your mother.
that means you need to come off and your time is done. Okay? If you hear that, it means you're chatting too long and your time is done. Oh my God. It means you're chatting too much and your time is done and you need to come off the show. No other show will no other show will cover cricket like this. No other show. So you can go anywhere else to get the sanitized version, but this is how you now come off Monday night call-in shows. Listen, let me put the link in the thing. So let's not, what are the talking points? Talking points ahead of today's show. West Indies obviously beat, who did we beat again? Oh, Uganda. Obviously we smashed Uganda. Santoki and I did the show yesterday, reviewing that game. Big up anybody who's liked that video, shared it, etc. So obviously we beat Uganda. We've got New Zealand. Big up Kev. Kev's another Bromley fan, people, by the way. If you've ever seen Kev on the show, I've known Kev since, Kev will tell you, I don't even know the first time I met Kev. But Kev and I have been watching Bromley for both of us at least 20 plus years. So big up Kev. But Kev lives in New Zealand, people, and is as much, I don't know, Kev's lived in New Zealand so long now that he might actually be more of a New Zealand fan than an England fan now. Kev can describe for himself, but Kev messaged me earlier on and just said, listen, if you need somebody who can give you the lowdown on New Zealand, I'm your guy. So Kev doesn't actually rate New Zealand's chances that much against us. So that's quite interesting, and that's not because Kev's just saying that. If he's saying that, that's because he genuinely thinks that this might be one of the weaker New Zealand sides that have turned up in a global cricket competition. So big up Kev. You lot interact with him in the chat because he's the one really with the New Zealand insight. Kev can't get on, people. He's at work, I think, so he can't actually come on the show. So yeah, obviously we've got New Zealand coming up on Wednesday. What other talking points are there? England might be out the tournament. That's if people want to talk about other teams. England might be out the tournament. Pakistan look like they're coming out the tournament. So there's even a chance. I actually don't really understand how the Super 8s work, in that there was the tournament initially had different rules for the Super 8, and then India, I suspect, said, no, actually change it. We want it to work like this. So if we get through to the Super 8s, I think, as things currently stand, our group would be South Africa, Scotland, USA. Obviously, that's the most hypothetical of situations. The only team we know for certain that will be in the half of the Super 8s that the West Indies are supposed to go into is South Africa, because they qualified today. There is no guarantee that Scotland go through. Everyone seems to have written England off as if England aren't about to smash Namibia out of sight and smash Oman out of sight. So I'm surprised people are writing England off, unless they're assuming rain might come to play. I think a lot of people are assuming that Australia will do whatever they have to do to make sure that England don't go through, short of losing to Scotland. Who knows? So I think it's a stretch to say Scotland are definitely going to go through. I think it's even a stretch. I think it's even a stretch to say that USA will go through. To me, it's completely feasible that USA end up losing to who they got left. They'll lose to India, obviously, and it's feasible that Ireland beat USA. And in that situation, depending on what Pakistan do, USA may well not even make it. So I think it's a bit, and obviously this is before you even consider us. We might not even make it. So I'm not even really looking at the Super 8s and going, oh, it's going to be West Indies, Scotland, USA, and South Africa. Those first three teams might not even make it there. So let's not try and jump to presumptions on that. You lot can. I ain't. I'm just focusing on New Zealand first things first. You lot can do your own thing after that. Anyways, 151 of you in the live. You've been warned about what's going to happen if you talk too much. A couple of people fretting already because they want to talk and mash up the whole show. Anyways, here we go. Where's the link? No, did I put the link in already? I can't even remember. Maybe I didn't. Right. So yeah, there's the talking points. Do you know what? Actually, I forgot all about the fact that West Indies women are in Sri Lanka. So West Indies women are in Sri Lanka. Their first game is on Saturday against Sri Lanka women. West Indies emerging team is playing emerging Ireland. The first game, I think, is tomorrow, the first ODI. So they play them on Tuesday, tomorrow. Thursday is the second one, and Friday is the third one. So that's Emerging Ireland versus West Indies Academy. Those three games are this week as well. So as much as there's a World Cup, let us remember that there are other iterations of the West Indies team playing, age group, gender, etc. So rally behind all versions of the West Indies team, not just the men's senior side. Yeah, Adrian says, looks like you're ready for winter. Listen, I see Neeks in the background. Anyone who's in England will tell you that we've had our 2 days of summer. It's over for us. We're back in. Listen, today was so cold, I thought it was winter time again, you know. Our summer's done, people. 2 days of summer we got in June, and it's back to winter time again in England. So we're done out here. Anyways, let's get into it. How many people are already in the background? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, boy. You lot, and based on some of the 6 people I see, in the background, you're going to hear this today. You're going to hear all sorts today. All sorts you're hearing if you go on too long today. Right. Let's there's enough uncles right now listening going, this boy is unruly. He's unruly. What's he doing? He's rude. He's a rude. I know some of you are telling my dad as well, you know. Right, let's go. Sachin's first up. Let's go. I'm setting the timer as well, you know, because I know Sachin's not going to respect the timer. Let me put the timer on. 1 second. People think I'm joking about the timer. Right, okay. Sachin, your time starts now.
What are you trying to say? I talk too much?
We'll soon see. Go on. Let you land.
No, my first, obviously everyone's hyped about the World Cup, but my first thing was going to be that West Indies and Sri Lanka women's series. Like, I don't know if you could tell me like when the next Women's World Cup is for like ODI or T20.
Isn't it this year? I think in October this year. There's the T20 World Cup is. I think it's in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or something like that.
Okay, so do we use this series as a like final prep for squads going into that World Cup?
That's what they're saying. That the whole reason why they've gone to Sri Lanka is to familiarize themselves with the necessary conditions ahead of the World Cup. So I don't know. I don't know what we've got after that. You would think that, so it's June, so July, August, September. Actually, so it's only what three and a bit months out from that World Cup happening. So it may be that this is our last major preparation ahead of obviously like internal camps before the World Cup itself. So this should be being used to kind of find.
I'm looking it up right now. This is the last series we have before that World Cup, and then we jump into warm-ups in early September.
So
yeah,
I would just say that I mean, there's plenty of time to have those conversations as we get closer to the World Cup, but I hope that I feel like people are a bit more realistic where the West Indies women are concerned. Whereas with the men's side, everyone's like, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. I think everybody appreciates with the women's side that if Hayley, if Hayley decides to do something, anything's possible. But other than that, long.
Yeah, and it looks like I got 2 minutes 2 minutes left. The next thing I want to say is in the Discord we were talking about how like what the Super 8s would possibly look like. And if we do make it to the Super 8s and we gotta face the likes of Scotland, United States, and South Africa, shouldn't it be guaranteed we make it to the semis? If things stand as it is right now.
I'm not okay. So I'm not as confident. And on paper, if we end up getting to the Super 8s and on paper it's Scotland, USA, and South Africa, I reckon 99.9% of the Caribbean will expect us to make the semis out of that group. I would be 51% that we could do that, only because we'll beat USA. There's no way on earth that USA can beat us. Never. Impossible that USA could beat us in a cricket match, right?
Yeah.
If that was the group. Scotland, however, do not fear the West Indies. That much I'm telling you now. Scotland don't think we're worth shit. And South Africa, depends which South Africa turns up. So I would only go to like 51% that we'd definitely make it out of that group.
So if we don't, what if we have a repeat and Scotland knocks our tail out the World Cup again?
I think people would have to be realistic. We're as good as Scotland, or Scotland are as good as us. Everyone needs to go remember, like, what's happened in the last World Cup, albeit ODIs. Scotland didn't just beat us, they whooped us in the World Cup qualifiers. Last T20 World Cup, when we lost to Scotland in the pre-round before the main stage. People have to put respect on Scotland's name. Scotland ain't no also-ran side. They believe in their talent. It's just because we're called West Indies and they're called Scotland that people just assume that we're significantly better than Scotland. We saw in the little 10 overs that Scotland batted against England. They ain't afraid of England. And if they ain't afraid of England, why should they be afraid of us?
West Indies, yep. And my last thing is New Zealand. Do we look at New Zealand and say, oh, Afghanistan defeated them, whooped them, and go into this match, oh, we could beat New Zealand, or New Zealand ain't, you know what? Because Trent Bolt and Tim Southee has every West Indian number.
I'm just 50-50. I'll be very intrigued to see what everybody says who comes on the show today. I'm 50-50 on the New Zealand game. I obviously want us to win. I hope we just get all sorted and we don't have to go to play Afghanistan in the last game to try and get through. But I would be shocked if New Zealand put two terrible performances in a row together. So what I suspect will happen, if we win, it's going to be tight. That's what I expect to happen, right?
Yeah.
If we win. I do not foresee New Zealand playing badly 2 games in a row because they're not built like that. Now, anything could happen. Who knows? They could maybe they are cooked or undercooked, whatever it is that people want to say about them. But I guess put it this way: underestimate New Zealand at your peril. I think world cricket, surely modern day world cricket fans have understood this by now. Underestimate them at your peril. If we go with big chests and Bosey, they'll turn us over.
Oh, 100%. But my thing is, I'm gonna get cussed for this as I head out. We're losing to New Zealand.
What did you just say? What did you say?
Repeat
that one again.
We are losing to New Zealand. Trent Bolt will have us spinning.
Here's what I have to say to that. That's what I got to say to that one. Listen, Sachin, you've got us off. You've got the show off to a good start. In fact, I might as well keep a tally. I might as well keep a tally here as to who's going to say New Zealand will win or New Zealand won't win.
Also, can I say something, Jay? Can you come up on the show because everyone wants you up here?
People want Jay on the show. Let me see if he's in the background. He's not in the background. I can't see him.
He won't call in. But anyway,
Jay, they want you on the show. The people are calling for you to come on the show. You can't just have Twitter fingers. You can't just have social media fingers.
Discord fingers. Keyboard warrior. Good night. Let me stop before I get banned from CCP.
No worries, man.
Take it easy, Mash.
What the hell have I done here? Right. Okay. 1 second. So Kev. So that was goodbye to Sachin, who I've not even got the screen on. Where the hell's my show gone? There we go. Goodbye to Sachin. Kev sent me a message. Right. I'm going to read Kev's message. So for those of you who weren't with us, here's Drew, the stats man. New Zealand are 2 for 7 in their last 90 20s. West Indies are 7 for 2. Drew, it's the World Cup, man. Allow it, innit? Allow it. Sometimes just allow the stats like it's a World Cup. Okay, we're about to start the European Championships. For those of you who like football, England just lost to Iceland in a friendly. So what does that mean? They ain't going to do well in the European Championships? Come on, man. Allow the stats, man. Sometimes just allow the stats and just wait for the thing to actually. Come on, man. Right. Where are we? So, Kev, my friend who lives in New Zealand, has sent this analysis of the New Zealand team based on what's going on over there and how New Zealand are being assessed by, I guess, cricket fans over there and their media. So Kev says the following. I'm just going to read this because Kev can't come on the show due to circumstances. So Kev says, New Zealand are there for the taking. The big issues are they're undercooked. A lot of their players were IPL bench warmers, and we played no warm-up games. The wicketkeeper is Conway, and he's not up to T20 World Cup standard. New Zealand commentators have described him as like having hands like feet. I think that's in reference to his wicket-keeping skills. Finn Allen is bloody dangerous, but he's either an 85 of 32 or a 6 from 2. Captaincy is lacking in ideas. It's all planned on paper. Southey doesn't have a natural feel for the game. Bolt is still a threat. The slow bowlers, however, I genuinely take 4 of them. And I think Kevin's saying he'd generally take 4 of them and over. So yes, we have quite a few issues going into the West Indies game. So that's a summary that Kev has given out of New Zealand in terms of how they're seeing it. They think that the Kiwis think that we can beat them, as in the Kiwis think that we have a good chance of beating them. But I mean, maybe we're just general pessimists, not me. I'm talking generally now, West Indian fans, in that we assume that any West Indies could turn up. And there's no guarantee that we just beat New Zealand just like that. Anyway, Neeks is up next. Neeks is up next. Let's go. Drew says Bolt, Michael Bracewell and not Bolt is who I feel will be the biggest threat. I would be shocked, Drew, if Trent Bolt doesn't remove Johnson Charles middle stump inside the first over. If Johnson Charles takes strike, I expect him out inside the first over. If Trent Bolt takes the new ball, I would be shocked if that doesn't happen. Anybody who watches cricket is expecting in swing in Yorker, middle stump gone. I don't think you even need to be that much of a stats man to even understand that. Right, okay, Neeks. Yes, Neeks, how you doing?
Mash, you're in England. I can't relate, brother. I can't relate.
Where have you left now?
Oh, how I love this country.
Neeks is live and direct. I knew he was going to the World Cup. I didn't realize he'd flown already. Yes,
Yeah,
Neeks.
man, I'm there. And the weather isn't. It's been raining about.
Wait, are you in TNT?
I'm in TNT. Sweet TNT.
Listen, Joe Bob, Fireball, Panda Steph, all of the CCP TNT community. Look after Neeks, you know. Look after Neeks. He's up in your country. Reach out to him. Look after him, people.
And I'm staying in
Thursday morning, you know.
Say that again?
You might be crying by Thursday morning.
Well, this is it. Listen, the skies are crying. I'm in San Fernando, obviously where the cricket's going to be played. It's been raining every day since I landed. Like it's literally just raining as I speak right now. I got caught in one big rainstorm on the way back from the mall. So I've been checking the weather app, like frantically saying Wednesday, please. At the moment, Wednesday looks clear. So we should get a good day all from throughout the whole day, from early morning to the evening. But you can't trust the weather apps when it comes to the Caribbean. I'm sitting down the bar and my app's telling me it's raining. I'm like, it's dry. And then it's like, it's going to be dry from 10 and it's a big rainstorm outside, thunder, lightning. I said, no. So we'll see in it. We'll see what happens. So, actually, a draw wouldn't be. Would a draw be the worst result? And no result.
Enough, that's what Osprey was saying. Our Scottish resident, he was saying that if you were offered a washout now versus New Zealand, would you take it? And do you know what? I didn't know how to react to the question. I think I said to him, I need to think about that one. I'll put that to the community as well. If you were offered a washout,
we'll put it like this: if I was in England, I'll take the washout. But I didn't travel 4,400 miles for a washout. So I'm here. I need to see a full game, win, lose, super over, Jason Holder special. I need to be here to see the end result because I've traveled all the way, paid my ticket, and I hope we get a good game. I hope West Indies win more importantly, but I hope we get a good game. I want to. So go on.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay. I want to touch on the Uganda game quickly. Not even about the Uganda game. But really and truly, Mash, only the people that were negative, quote unquote, negative about the PNG game can celebrate the Uganda win, innit? Because for those who were positive about the PNG game, even though we won by 130 runs, a win is a win. So it doesn't really matter how it comes. If it's by 1 run or it's by 130, there's no level in excitement or analysis. A win is a win. So those people who were happy with PNG, it should just be business as usual. Akil, not even a pat on the back. Just go home. You've done your job, and everything as per usual. It's only the ones who were quote unquote negative who can say, "Well, good job, Desi and the crew for that win against Uganda," because obviously we analyze games as we see them rather than what it looks like in the win column. I don't know. That's just me, innit?
Well, I took the attitude that I think people are reluctant to admit it now, but a lot of people will now look back at the PNG game and go, actually, Mash and a couple of others who said it were right. That game was shit. Like West Indies weren't good. And I think some people tried to mask it behind, well, we got the win and that's all that matters. But now I think people can accept. Remember, people have forgotten, Neeks, Uganda beat PNG. So I think people now need to look at it and go, PNG was not good. Uganda, arguably you could say that the Uganda performance was better than expected.
I think to bowl out any team, I don't care who they are, any team for 39 is better than expected because nobody could expect it. Wasn't that the lowest total in a T20 World Cup or something like that? Like we got pitches over in New York that's doing all sorts, and nobody's bowling out anyone for 39. So I think it's definitely better than expected, especially on the result itself, 130 odd runs, the bowling performance in and of itself. The batting, obviously, you and Santoki spoke about that at length, and obviously within the Discord, that left, I won't say a lot to be desired, but it probably raised as many questions as it did after the PNG game, because we're going to this New Zealand game and the reality is it's probably going to be unchanged. But we didn't leave that game after winning by 134. Like, yes, this is why this is our first 11. We can understand why 1 to 11 is in the team. All their roles are clearly defined, etc., etc. Which, again, it comes down to the analysis as opposed to just looking at the result. 40-odd runs for Johnson Charles, as Tantoki tried to analyze it as a Marlon Samuels innings. But that's a stat argument. When you watch the game, it was not a Marlon Samuels innings. He tried to be Chris Gale with his innings, but it ended up being Lendl Simmons in the World Cup. Like it wasn't a great innings, but we got the run. So there's a lot of questions that still came out of it. But I think we're gonna go in unchanged for New Zealand.
Yeah.
In terms of what I expect,
what's your greatest fear or doubt with regards to the New Zealand game? I haven't analysed the New Zealand game, also the New Zealand team heavily. So my biggest doubt is always on our side, and it's still the bowling. I spoke about it after the PNG game in terms of the makeup of only going with 5 bowlers, and I've been looking at not 5 bowlers, 3 bowlers and 3 all-rounders. I've been looking at each team thus far, and I've been kind of just dropping it into the group, not saying in the Discord, not saying anything else. Every team who's worth their salt, whose aim is actually to win this World Cup, are going in with 4 specialist bowlers, whether that's more seamers and spinners, 2 of each, or more spinners and seamers. They're all going in with at least 4 specialist bowlers and then some. England did it, India, Australia, all of them. And I'm concerned that because we've won those 2 games and we may get out of this group, we're going to keep going through, and it's going to be good, and it's going to be good enough until it isn't, and it's going to be too late by the time we realize it isn't. So that's my only concern, is that we're still going to go with a makeup of 3 specialist bowlers and 3 all-rounders. But yeah, I mean, as far as this game is concerned, the most important thing is a win. I'm not even fussed about the performance at this point, because we're literally in knockout competition now. It has to be a win. I kind of look at the last 2 games and take any. I know you mentioned that you had like an analogy about Haaland scoring against I think we mentioned Bromley or something like that, 4 goals. Yeah. What can he take? If you're on a drought and you score 4 goals, you say, well, at least I ended my drought. Or if you're on a goal scoring run and you score 4 goals, you say, well, I'm still in that run. But playing against Bromley and playing against Arsenal is 2 different things. Playing against Uganda and playing against New Zealand or Afghanistan, whoever we get in the next rounds, if we make it, are 2 different things. So it's more just continuing that momentum that we gained from the warm-up games, the feeling of winning, which is a good feeling, it's a good consistency to have, and hoping to take that feel-good factor, which is definitely better out of Uganda rather than PNG game, into that New Zealand game. But based on how New Zealand's come into this tournament and how we've come into it, being at home, hopefully a full crowd in the Brian Lara Stadium, I have maybe it's a biased feeling because, as I said, I didn't travel 4,400 miles to lose, but I have a feeling that we're going to get over the line. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I have a feeling we're going to get over the line. So I'm looking forward to it as long as the rain stays away. I can't really say much on top of that other than to say I would take the equivalent of a 1-0 scrappy win.
Oh, 100%.
So whereas people said PNG, it doesn't matter how we win, genuinely for New Zealand, it doesn't matter how we win by any means necessary. Even a teeth out. Bring me the teeth out. Anything, man. Have we got Joe Wilson? Is Joe Wilson umpiring for us? Whoever. Umpire teeth, ball tampering, anything goes. Just get the win.
Pelt him. Look, like the Ugandan bowlers. Just pelt.
Yeah, anything you need to do to get the W, just get the W. We'll excuse anything for the W.
And I think that there's all context, because Sachin kind of raised the point, and I guess my question, maybe even to you and anyone else that comes on after, what would be more embarrassing for West Indies? Losing to New Zealand and Afghanistan, which is very plausible, and getting knocked out of the group stage, or getting through in New Zealand and Afghanistan and losing to Scotland and who's it, USA, but you got further in the competition, but got knocked out to lesser teams, or getting knocked out of the group stages to teams that it's plausible you can lose to. It's interesting because once you get to the knockout, not the knockout, but the next group stage, I know you said there's no way we're going to lose to USA, and I hear you, but they have as much right to be there as we do. And if they can beat Pakistan, who we are Pakistan-like, like we can beat anyone on our day, and we're as likely to put in the most horrible down bad performance you've seen in centuries as Pakistan are. And they beat Pakistan. So I don't know how you can be so certain that we ain't gonna get beat by USA if we get through to the next round, and they do.
Here's why.
We both deserve to be there.
USA
and they're hosts, they're co-hosts. This is their World Cup. What are you talking about?
No, but hear me out. Remember, USA, if they get through, they stop playing their games in front of a home crowd, and they actually have to come to the Caribbean to play the rest of the tournament. Ain't no Americans coming over to the Caribbean to cheer them on in wherever it's being played, whether it's Antigua, St. Lucia, whatever. The American fan base ain't coming to help them give what USA have benefited from, to give them their due, is I do think, and I think we discussed it before the tournament started, home court advantage counts for quote unquote weaker sides, generally speaking, right? So this is why I agree with you. I do think that Brian Lara's sold out on Wednesday night. I think and hope that makes a difference. And maybe one of the reasons why we were so bad against PNG is because the Guyanese public didn't turn up. We were the home team. Sorry for the Guyanese who are in the chat, but let me give you a little cuss out here. We were the home team, and our own home fans didn't even bother to show up to support the home team. So I don't know how much USA have benefited from home court and home field advantage.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I hear it. If we get through, I don't expect us to lose to USA and Scotland, but I look at it as they deserve to be here. They won 3 games in their group against a full member nation, whoever they would have knocked out or whatever. It's all to play for. They're going to be as confident of getting through as we are, because we're going to be like, we're playing USA and Scotland. They're like, we're playing West Indies. Like, and we already beat Pakistan, and we put up a good show against England in terms of Scotland. It's 50-50. For me, it's 50-50.
Listen, USA are shit. We ain't losing to USA. I don't care what anyone says. We ain't losing to USA. There's people, you see, when people say that I'm negative or whatever, there's certain levels to which my negativity, if it exists, doesn't go to. And that is Papua New Guinea are shit, Uganda are shit, and USA are shit. We don't lose to any of them shit teams. That's all I'm saying on that. But there's levels to this thing.
Fair enough. Last thing I'll say before I go, speaking of shit teams, Cabo, you got the link. Make sure you come on. You said you're going to call in today. You can talk about how South Africa were absolutely fortunate and lucky to get through today. We know how they bottle it in the World Cup. So I'm expecting Tabo to come in and talk about, I guess, another shit team we might find in our Super 8 group if we get through.
Listen, you got extended time, Neeks, because you were spitting some fire. So but let me move on.
Big up, man.
Enjoy Trinidad.
Yeah, say.
No worries. Oh, hold on, I put Jabu on too quickly. You know what? Something I've always wondered about Trinidad. I should have asked Neeks just then, but so those of you in the chat, Abhinav says USA aren't shit. Abhinav, you live in the States, don't you? You lot are shit, man. We ain't afraid of you. The only thing I'm afraid of when it comes to USA is indiscriminately bombing countries. But cricket, you man ain't got no chance. Come on, man. Let's be serious now. Right, okay. So those people who are from Trinidad, do you call it Trinidad and Tobago, or do you call it Trinidad? And is it offensive? Is it offensive when people from outside Trinidad and Tobago only refer to it as Trinidad? Do people from Tobago get upset when people only call it Trinidad? I've always wondered that. Talk to me, people. Talk to me. because no one ever really says Trinidad and Tobago. They might say TNT, but everyone just shortens it to Trinidad. Anyways, so do Tobagans just accept Trinidad and say, you know what, it is what it is? Or is there like a beef that nobody? Because I always think that from outsiders, it must feel mad offensive to somebody who's not even from, like, who's from Tobago, and they're like, well, why are you calling me like just a straight Trini for? So anyways, I've always wondered that. Anyways, let's move. Look at this Druv guy. So Druv, in order for Druv to prove that Trent Bolt won't get Johnson Charles out, he said, so far in 2024, Charles has faced Trent Bolt for 9 balls. Thanks, Druv. Cheers for that, bro. Like, this is cheers, Druv. That's a real good stat, that one. Thanks. That really proves a really significant point. 9 balls, you know. Man said 9 balls. I ought to just fling something at this laptop right now, you know. Let's move. Jabu.
Well, hello everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
I like that seamless transition to whatever you're talking about. Groove, I was sort of just zooming out there, and then you just went straight to me.
Right. Although I gave Neats an extortionate amount of time, we're back to the 5-minute timer, Jabu. So your time starts now.
You just gotta let me know when it's up. I'm not gonna even try to keep track of that with my anxiety here. So regarding that whole Trinidad and Tobago thing too, I mean, a small amount of people get offended, but they're not important enough. Most people just do call it Trinidad, and I do as well. And if I'm in Tobago, I'll say Tobago.
Oh, okay, so you do at least change it up when you're in Tobago, though.
Yeah, I think just for the differentiation's sake.
Okay, interesting. But what if you're an outsider?
I get what you mean as
in somebody who's not, you don't hail from the island itself.
I mean generally, from a cricket standpoint, Trinidad is like the major part of it. So unless it's like a Tobagonian cricketer specifically, I think is fine.
Yeah. Okay. You've given me. I'm sure we're going to get another Trini on at some point who's going to disagree with you.
I like when people disagree with me.
Listen, on to the cricket. What point are we making about the cricket?
Okay, so first off, as someone who follows both West Indies and New Zealand, I think West Indies has a better chance coming up this week than they usually would against New Zealand. Because New Zealand, I think it is a bit of a weaker team that they sent this time around, but it's more just due to the lack of match practice more than anything. Also,
go on, sorry, carry on.
Also, I'm not too sure about some of the team selections. I was wondering why Ish Sudi wouldn't have played on that Guyana pitch in the first game.
Yes, an interesting. But then maybe do you think they underestimated Afghanistan? I mean, how do you underestimate Afghanistan? Or maybe it's just what everyone says. They were just rusty. It was just pure rust, and they picked a team that they thought would do enough without realizing.
I hope they would underestimating Afghanistan, because I think Afghanistan has a better chance of beating us than New Zealand does on Wednesday. Want to know what people think about that, because I think Afghanistan probably finishing top of the table in that group.
You would assume so. Although remember, there is a scenario where if we did, and this is a scenario I'm hoping doesn't come to play. Sorry, is that if New Zealand beat us and then we beat Afghanistan, then it will come down to net run rate, and it'll be a scenario where if New Zealand do manage to beat us, they effectively know that they just need to smash Papua New Guinea and smash Uganda, and they'll probably go through.
I honestly think that they would beat those two teams. I don't think there's any talk about them not beating those teams by a pretty high margin.
And so essentially, I hope it doesn't come down to that Afghanistan game, because if it does go down to net run rate, and we end up not making it through, it'll be that PNG game that will ultimately be the reason we end up not having the net run rate that we need. So we shall see.
Yup, and basically on that note, I just wanted to talk about one player. Rutherford's strike rate after the 2 games so far is around 50, with like not many runs, and he rightfully isn't bowling. I don't expect him to be a bowling option. We already see how that has gone in the past. But is there anyone else you think should be in the side, or any changes that you would make going into the side other than this?
Someone put a comment, I think in response to maybe yesterday's video that Santoki and I did, where they said, how comes you're not considering Rutherford for a drop? And I wrote down at the time, I jotted a note down to myself at the time saying, actually, that's not as crazy a call as it seems. I don't think it'll happen, but there isn't. If we lose to New Zealand, it'll be very interesting to me to see if we make any changes for Afghanistan. If we beat New Zealand, then I think everyone who's not played will play versus Afghanistan. So Shamar will get a game, Obed will get a game, Hetty will get a game, and Shea will get a game.
I've been waiting for Obed and Hope specifically.
So I think it wouldn't surprise me if Sammy and the think tank are like, we want to get Shea in, but we just don't know how. We want to get, like, all 4 of those players who aren't in right now, there's an argument for all of them to get in, but there's just no way for them to get in without being overly
really
bold.
Difficult
There's
for
no
me
way
to determine who I would bring out from the team and who I would bring in from those players as well. I don't have any one specific person in mind.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's going to be, so like I say, best case scenario, we do what we need to do against New Zealand. Everyone who hasn't had a chance gets their chance against Afghanistan, and then we go into the Super 8 having seen everybody play, and then we can make a more rounded kind of informed decision about who should go forward from there.
Yeah, and I'm also really confused. I don't know how the Super 8 thing is going to work either. I think that's max confusion, but it should be fun. Also, to add to anyone in the chat who's asking where's Sando Avenue, is close to a grocery GTA by crossing. Also close to another landmark is the Skinner Park and the Sapa Academy for Performing Arts thing. I don't even know what the official name of that is. I don't know how to really give the directions. I don't really know where Neeks is at, but hopefully that adds some context.
Neeks, make sure after this show that you jump back into the Discord and let our correspondents, our CCP Trinidad and Tobago correspondents will show you the way. Well, the only question Nick should be asking is where are the gyal? That's all he should be asking. But for now, we'll do with Skinner Park and whatever else he was asking for. But we move on. Listen, Jabu, I'm going to the next caller.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. Right, moving on. Who's next? Rally. I don't know who Rally is, to be fair. Who's Rally? Z says, come on, Mash, stop it, bro. It ain't that deep. I don't know what you're talking about, Z. Oh, what, the Trinidad and Tobago reference? I don't know what you're referencing, to be fair. Sachin says, how come I was the only one that got the sound effect? Well, boy, Sachin, didn't want to tell you, man, but boy. So DJ Natural, I believe, is related to Neeks, if I'm not mistaken. And look at him airing Neeks' business out on the live. Neeks apparently is a dangerous guy. Gal dem sugar. Right, okay. Right, let's move. Who's next? Rally, let's go. Yes, Rally. Who's Rally?
Mash, what's going on? Blessings from the Most High.
Yeah, blessings each and every day. But who am I talking to?
You're talking to Richard here, man.
Okay.
RM. And it's Trinidad. We forget the I, the last I. It's Trinidad. And if Tobago
Trinidad.
wants their independence, they could have a vote on that.
God, look at me there.
I'm gonna get
So Trinidad.
So what's up, Mash? I gotta make it quick. I only have a few points. One is all of these pitches that are getting criticized left, right, and center. To be honest with you, these pitches are making for some nice, exciting cricket. I'll be honest with you. I've been glued to the TV almost on every match.
Do you know what? So in the Discord group earlier today, we were talking about that we've gone from an IPL this year. I mean, I'm not that deep into IPL, but we've gone from an IPL this year where everyone was talking about, wow, isn't it amazing that they're hitting over 200 every game, and wow, this is exciting. And I actually think what we've seen in the World Cup is far more exciting.
100.
And you know what? Just touching on the pitch thing, because we had a bit of a debate in the Discord about this today as well. That pitch in New York, which is catching pelters from everyone, I actually don't think it's that bad. I just think that what we're seeing is a generation of players that no longer have the patience to play difficult innings. Now, if you're saying to me that T20 cricket is only built for everyone scoring 80 or 32 balls, then okay, yeah, it's a bad pitch. But if you're saying that an 11-man team can't, on that New York track, go at, there's nothing wrong with a game where the track's a bit more tricky than usual to go at 40 off 47 balls if that's what gets the job done, right? And I just think that people have got so tied up into this notion that you can't play T20 cricket unless you're going at a 180 to 220 strike rate, or therefore it's not a proper T20 match. Listen, it's a tricky track. Play sensible cricket and you won't just get out on it. But a lot of the wickets that have been given, and that's the phrase one use, given away on that New York track, have been a lot of the batters just losing patience with not being able to get, I guess, full purchase for the shots they think they normally would do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think the pitches in New York, I think they're showing like quality batsmen will make runs. It's not about cow lashing and hitting everything down cow corner. It's usually playing in the V, playing down the ground. That's where you're going to make the runs.
It's not a abandon the game type pitch. And I think if it's not that level of pitch, then I think there's a bit of hyperbole being bandied about in terms of it's not fit for purpose. The outfield might not be fit for purpose, but the track itself, I think it's a bit hyperbolic to say it's not fit for purpose.
Yeah, I think it just these people that they're not used to it, and it's something alien to them. So anyway, that's just my point. And then the other point, I was watching that Sri Lanka game today. And what's your take on that the 4 runs that was leg buys? That was actually called, I think it was called out, and it was reviewed, and then it was overturned.
Bangladesh game, you mean?
Oh, the Bangladesh. Sorry, the Bangladesh game today. What's your take on that, though? Like, I find that so controversial. They lost by 4 runs.
Okay, so as I understand it, it's, I think, I read a tweet earlier today, can't remember who from, where I think the point they were making, it might have been Jared, in fact, Jared Kimber. I think Jared was saying it's a correct rule, but for a different period of cricket. And I think the point he was making, if I've got this wrong, Jared will correct me, but I think the point he was making was that the rule no longer applies for the era of cricket that we're in, and the rule should have been updated a long time ago. So I take that to mean that effectively what he and others are saying is that the ball should be allowed to run away first, and then once the ball is dead, the umpire waits to give the decision. Is that effectively what people are saying? I don't actually know, to be fair, because I'm trying to get my head around it at the same time. What's your view on it?
I agree that the ball should be still alive. Like when an umpire is giving someone out, the play is dead after that, right? There's nothing can happen after that. I think the play should be allowed and then the review to take place if it's going to be reviewed.
So say that again. You think that the
I think the ball should be live. I think the ball should be live still, regardless of the umpire's decision. If the umpire is still going to give them out, I think the ball should be live. Let the play run out, whether it be they send it back into the keeper, and then it's dead. And at that point, you could review it at that point. But let the play run out.
I'm trying to think of a scenario where that doesn't work, which is why I'm pausing a bit. So, for example, I want to just play this out in my head. Someone there's a debate about whether a ball is being caught, right? Are the batters allowed to keep running until the ball is thrown back in?
Yes.
Or is the ball dead when it's caught, even if it's not caught? Do you get where I'm coming from?
And I think that's where we ran into the problem today, because the ball, once the umpire raised his finger, the ball was dead, regardless of where it went.
And you don't think that should be the case?
No, what I'm thinking is the ball should be live, even though the umpire is giving them out. I think the ball should be live until it's sent back in, or it goes across the boundary, or if it's sent back in from one of the fieldsmen to the keeper.
So here's something I'm going to say then. And Neeks has kind of maybe got to where I'm going to go with this one. Neeks says it should work like offside in football, umpire delayed decision. I was going to say, do we even need umpires then? Shouldn't we just have VAR? I'm being big and serious as well, Like, what's the point of an umpire?
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just have a robot there then.
No. I hear you. I totally understand. But I mean, there's so much riding on these games, and umpires getting this wrong. I mean, obviously, they have to get the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, it's like, man, there's so much riding on these games. These little things, and man, you're out of the tournament. You may be onto something. I could see there. It seems like every umpire now is just referring every single run out. So I don't even know what they're watching these days, right?
When you have Joe Wilson.
Umpiring.
Should you have Joe Wilson or should you have VAR? What's better? Because arguably, some people will say you might as well just have VAR instead of Joe Wilson, because he's getting about 67% of these decisions wrong, anyways. So,
I agree. You might as well change his name. I agree. I don't know. That makes for a big debate. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, because at the same time, there's a lot of riding on these games.
If it was the World Cup, I mean, we saw it. What was the thing with New Zealand again? What happened again with that? What happened in that game again in that World Cup final? Did the ball hit the helmet or something? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I would say? I would just say, obviously, lots of people are unhappy with it. They think it's an outdated rule. I think after this World Cup is over, in what should naturally happen, you have a review and you see it as an instructive moment to say, you know what, let's change this rule now.
Yeah. Whatever the outcome is after that, I think they'll probably review it. I agree with you on that front.
Yeah.
So my last point before I go, if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Kind of disappointed with the fans that they didn't come out and support the guys. Like, I'll be honest with you, I've been a fan for West Indies from late 90s, early 90s, and when the World Cup came to the Caribbean, I was in my 30s, and I was like, you know what? Man, I don't have the finances for it right now. Don't worry, I'll catch it back. I waited 17 years, Mash. 17 years. And I'm like, there's no way a World Cup in the Caribbean is missing me. I'm heading down to the final in Barbados. And I spent a pretty penny to get there.
So hold on. Are you going to the final with the assumption that West Indies are going to be there, or you're just going?
100%, 100. I am going there with my West Indies gear. Got off the plane in Bridgetown. I'm walking with my West Indies gear to them. I'm one of the traveling reserves, I call myself. But anyway.
let me ask you something. If by the World Cup final we're not there, you could sell that ticket for a pretty penny, you know.
Yes. But you know what? It's the vibe, it's the atmosphere, it's the pinnacle. A World Cup final in the Caribbean. There's no way I was missing this. And I was kind of ashamed of the turnout that we've had in the first two games. Hopefully the fans come out for the remaining games and, you know, rally around this team.
Yeah. I completely concur about that. And like I say, the good thing ultimately, and the final point for this segment, is that we know that Brian Lara Academy is sold out. We know that the Trinis have sold it out. Well, we hope so. Anyways, that's what we've been told for tomorrow's game, and I just hope it makes the key difference. I hope we've seen what the Trini fan base is like when Night Riders are playing. If they're even anything like that when TKR are playing, then hopefully it puts the Kiwis under a level of pressure that they're not expecting, and that carries us over the line. But we shall see. Absolutely,
Mash. Well, have yourself a blessed evening, a good night, and let's keep on rallying around the boys.
Of course. Take care, yeah?
Yeah, bless up.
No problem. Yes, people, yes. Look at the time. It's 1 hour. I feel to lock off the show right now, you know, because how many people are left? Yes, Vanetta's got a point, because Santoki said it on the show last night. If I was in Guyana, some people in Guyana had to pay the equivalent of what would be £85, £80 to watch West Indies versus Uganda. And I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't pay it. World Cup or no World Cup, West Indies or no West Indies, I'm not paying 80-something pounds to watch West Indies versus Guyana. I'd even cuss if it was West Indies versus England and it was £85 or £80. So I can't. And actually, if there's any Guyanese still in the chat, one of the I think it was everyone's here in the Discord group. Or join the Discord, people. You'll see these chats play out in just in like day-to-day normal time. But in the Discord group, I swear someone said this morning that so if you're from Berbice, for example, you're asking people to travel for 3+ hours to go to Providence to watch West Indies versus Uganda, and then for the equivalent of £85. No way. You think I'm traveling 3 hours to go watch West Indies play some down bad side if the World Cup was in England? No way. Of course, I mean, if I got a free ticket, I'd go, but not for 80 odd. No way, no. So I do think we have to temper some of our critique of the lack of support from the Guyanese. Anyways, let's move on. Next person up is Josh. Josh, you might have missed the start of the show, Josh. So let me just let you know now, Josh. The people are gonna say, "Why have I not played it for Josh?" So Josh, if you go over 5 minutes, let me just remind you. All right, okay. So don't let the thing don't let it be played, Josh. You mean what? Anyway, Josh is on.
You see it? Look at it. You see this Trinidad? You understand? All of my Trinidad rolling out and thing, rolling with numbers, brother. That's what I'm talking about. Where's the Chinese people? Them good. We have the doubles and the tassa and all kind of thing. The rhythm section pumping and thing on Wednesday, brother. Oh, good.
Remind me, Josh. You said did you just say you're half Trini?
Yes, I was born in Jamaica, but half of my family is from Trinidad. So my mother's from Trinidad. I go there very regularly. In fact, I was there over the Christmas. I actually went to the West Indies England game. That was in Trinidad.
Okay.
Yeah, I was out there. So, so I'm half Jamaican, half Trini. So when I heard it, my Trini accent does come up when it wants to, you know.
Yeah.
Plus the women are nice. So anyway, I'm not getting into trouble.
I hear. That's what I hear. Anyway, Josh, let's move.
Let's move. The way I would say this match is New Zealand. You remember when Germany, for the equivalent, Germany went to the World Cup? I think it's 2018. It must have been either 18 or so when they got knocked out in the group stage. Yeah. And they basically carried that same team, that pretty much old. I won't say old, but that team that we've been together for about 10, 15 years. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's how I see New Zealand now. I don't think New Zealand is as potent and as good as they used to be. I still think they'll put up a fight, but I don't think they're as good as they are. So that's how I see. So I do expect West Indies to win. I do think, but I don't think it would be an easy win. It would be something like if West Indies were chasing, we'd probably win by like 4 wickets. And if we were defending, I think we'd probably win by like 15, 20 runs. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? That you've just raised something that I completely forgot to ask. If we win the toss, granted we don't know what the track's saying at Brian.
No, I would bowl first because Trinidad the kind of pitch that flattens out as the game goes on.
Okay, so you would bowl first.
Yeah, it's a type of pitch that generally.
You would back us. You would back us to chase down whatever we need to chase down.
Yeah, I would do it. Especially like how it's been raining, the outfield might be a little bit soaked, not soaked, but you know what I mean. And that pitch, generally speaking, it tends to flatten out as the game, especially as the day goes on. But it's in the night. That's another thing you have to factor is in the night. So you could even factor the dew. You understand what I'm saying? Especially this time of the year. I put it this way: I went outside my house here in Jamaica last night, and I touched the grass, and the grass is not damp, but it's wet. It's like a slick wet, if you know what I mean. So I could imagine that being the case in Trinidad. So I would bowl first, try and restrict them for around, I would say 160, 170. I think that's gettable in Trinidad. Maybe 160.
The only thing I would possibly say is that because no games have been played in Trinidad yet. So the only thing I would say is that we don't know. We've got nothing to go off.
Right, that's true. That is true.
And I don't know. I'm not saying that's an advantage. I'm not saying it's even a negative or a disadvantage. Right. I'm just saying that it's going to be interesting because we've got. It's not like we can say, okay, well, we've seen how Providence has played in the first 4 games. So West Indies should try and do this, and so we just actually don't know.
But correct me if I'm wrong. It's the same pitch that they probably rolled it. You think, Mash? You think it's the same pitch we played in against England in the Christmas? You remember?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who knows? Who knows what?
Right.
Who knows what type of tweaks have been made to it, ICC mandated, etc. So that's why I'm even reluctant to go off what tends to happen. There.
Right. That's it. Because even if we're using what has been happening in this World Cup alone, it almost seems like it's best to bat first. You know what I mean? Because I think there's a stat that most teams who are batting first in this World Cup have won the game.
Yeah, and I mean, we know that Providence. So, for example, let's use Providence as an example.
Right. Yeah.
We know that Providence historically plays a bit slow, a bit low, etc. Right?
Right. Yes. Correct.
But that notwithstanding, it was a World Cup. And I don't think we expected it to be as difficult. Yeah. So that's why I'm just reluctant to be like, oh, it's probably going to play like X in Trinidad.
Right.
We could get another down bad wicket, which is really if we get a wicket like Providence, it is going to be a very interesting game because West Indies' greatest strength is obviously their 6 hitting. If the pitch takes that out of the equation, anything's possible at that point in terms of whether West Indies are able to win or not win, etc.
Well, if that's the case, then I would bat first because at least I know what to defend, and it looks like West Indies both. You know what I mean? But generally speaking, Karuba tends to flatten out as the game goes on. Plus, it's in the night, so that's what I would say. One more thing, because I know you're gonna press the button, but you know what I mean.
Don't worry, I'm hovering over it. The people are telling me. The people are saying, "How comes Josh got so many minutes?" But carry on.
This is my last one, then I'll let it go. I would actually make one change, and I don't know if you agree, but just based on what this World Cup has shown us, a left arm seamer or medium pacer have been doing very well in this tournament so far. So I would actually, I know this might shock some people, but I would actually either or one of the two What's his name again? Shafane.
Shafane Rutherford.
Yeah, Rutherford or Shepard. Drop one of them and bring in Obed. That's what I would do. So I would go with Shafane. I'll go with Shepard. I'll go with Shepard and bring in Obed. That's what I would do. Just based on this work of left arm seamer doing pretty well, the ball seems to be sticking in the surface a little bit, which means there's swing and there's turn. I think Obed would do very well. So I think we need to get Obed into the games more if we can. That's what I think. This tournament is showing us that Obed is a useful addition to the team. What would you say to that?
I'm not mad at the suggestion. I don't see it happening, but I'm not mad at the suggestion. There's certainly cricketing logic to get Obed into the side.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they've got the guts to bring him in.
Sammy seems very safe, pretty conservative. So that's what I would say. He tends to stay with what he knows. Not what he knows, but he doesn't like to make too many changes. That's the vibe I get from Sammy.
We shall see though.
Yeah, I don't want to take off. I don't want to get the button, so I want to get off before that button comes on. But you know how it works in Jamaica. You know when you hear that in Jamaica, you don't end well in a match. You don't end well out here in Jamaica, you know. So you better be careful who you press that to, you know.
Listen. I can't. I already know I can't touch Jamaica again. I'm gonna for a long while. I can't touch Jamaica unless my parents are gonna smuggle me to where I need to get to. So, but anyways, Josh, listen.
You take care, man.
Let me go to the next caller.
And by the way, for the rest of the chat, my question to you is, can West Indies beat USA? Because just to leave, USA are within their rights. I do think we can beat them, but I won't. This World Cup has shown me, don't underestimate the associate team. Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, I'm out. Later, guys.
Come them big in I am mama.
Right, that's right. Okay. Let me bring on the next person. Before I do that, sorry, there was some super chats. So Samuel Hewlett says, "Great shoe. Keep up the good work." Oh, okay. Well, I'm wearing slippers still. I'm not wearing a shoe, but maybe you did pre my slipper still and called it a shoe. But it's all good. It's all good. Thank you for picking up my shoe/slipper. I'm gonna keep up that good work. I'm gonna keep up. Thank you, though, Samuel. Thank you very much. Super chat. There's no show like Carrying Cricket Podcast, you know. Abhinav, thank you. I cussed out USA, but Abhinav still sent in the super chat all the same. Thank you, Abhinav. We continue to rally. And Glenvin Hazel, how can I be a part of the Discord? I think Neeks just put the Discord link in the chat, to be fair. So how can I be part of the Discord and Bromley group? The Bromley group, there isn't a Bromley Discord. Bromley group, I don't know. There's a Bromley YouTube channel that I set up. So you can go to that one, From Bromley with Love. There's that one as well. Wait a minute. 1950s Errol just called my slippers ugly ass slippers. Listen, Barrington. Listen, Winston. Listen, Orville. Errol knows the joke there, so let me just leave him alone and keep it moving. Right. So, next caller. Let me bring the next caller on. Jacob, let me bring Jacob on. We got 4 people left, and then I'm going off the show. Right, okay. Jacob, you're on next.
First of all,
Yes,
USA. We're gonna win the World Cup. We're doing it.
Nah, you know what? No, I'm not having that. Nah, let me kick off the show already.
I can make my penance because my pre-planned second point. You know, the whole point about only thing you're afraid of USA is bombing countries. It hurts because it's true. That's hence the subtext.
It was a deliberate, overtly political comment which no one could dispute.
It's true. It's true. It hurts because it's true. But no, I'm coming here to say I'm not particularly afraid of New Zealand. I don't know. I've said this multiple times. I just don't think they're very good. They very much remind me of like the other caller was saying about those German squads. It was just like a little bit too old. And they also kind of remind me a bit of the 2021 West Indies squad, where it was just the old man squad. I think they're just past it. A lot of the guys, I think they're just past it. Like they actually have a lot of similar problems to the West Indies. I don't think they have very good strike bowling, except for Bolt's. Bolt's a decent strike bowler, but he has kind of lost a lot of his edge. I think as he's gotten older, he's still a very good bowler, but he's just not quite who he was. Maybe like 85-90% of who he was, and that matters a lot in the top level of sports. And
you know what you're describing? I'm going to just, because I don't know how many people know the New Zealand squad, just going to read it out to people. Kane Williamson, Devon Conway, Finn Allen, Michael Bracewell, Mark Chapman, Daryl Mitchell, Jimmy Neesham, Glenn Phillips, Rachin Ravindra, Mitchell Santner, Trent Bolt, Lockie Ferguson, Matt Henry, Ish Soldi, Tim Southey. When you read it out, your point sounds very valid. And it's a squad that looks like they're going to be playing on muscle memory. Yeah. You reach a certain, and I didn't even read out the ages. A lot of those players I just read out are 33, 34, 32, i.e. they've been playing together for a long time. Now, you could argue that's a positive. They know each other's games inside out. They know how to win in the clutch. But yes, potentially, there is an argument that says that there's an argument that says how many tournaments is one step too far. And actually, this is where Kev's point, our Kiwi correspondent, comes in. When you read out that squad, you're like, where's the new guys? Apart from Finn Allen, where's the guys that have freshened up that squad? So Jacob, our US correspondent, has made a very, very valid point there. Carry on, Jacob.
So, and I've also made the same point that I fear Afghanistan a lot more. Like if I was a West Indian, and I do support the West Indies against every team but the USA and maybe Ireland because of reasons. I look at at Afghanistan, and they have very, very good strike bowlers. They have very, very good strike bowlers. There seem like Faruqi. I think he's just a great bowler. I'm really a fan of him. And the West Indies don't have great strike bowlers. Like who's the West Indies strike bowler? Is it Alzari Joseph? He's not. I don't know what it is. I feel like I understand why Alzari's like never. I feel like lived up to his potential in Test cricket, and I think that's the main reason in red ball cricket is I think he tends to bowl just a bit too short. It was a lot like Muhammad Shami type of thing, where it's like, oh, he's so unlucky. He gets all these edges or gets all these like, I can't think of the word. It's near misses basically.
Yeah.
And that's what I call Instagram filter bowling. You're bowling too short, so it looks very good, but it's not particularly threatening actually. And I think that's part of his problem in red ball cricket. But I don't know what it is in white ball cricket. He's not been able to quite put it all together. I do think Akil Hussain might be like one of the best bowlers in this tournament. I think he's just fantastic. I love the guy, and I do think Obed would have a lot with all those like slower balls would have a great use in some of these pitches. These like very grippy pitches, especially in Guyana. Thank you, Joe Bob. And so,
actually, you know what? I'm gonna deliberately make you forget your point. Just talk on that, because the first time I heard that man, John Boy, or whatever his name is, was during the Pakistan-India game. I think he was on comms for that. He wasn't as terrible as I thought he was going to be. But who is he? Like,
I have no idea. I don't really watch baseball. I mean, one of the reasons I like cricket is it's a lot more affordable than most American sports. American sports are really, really expensive. I used to be a big soccer guy. I'm not as much anymore. And that was because it was the only sport I could afford to go to in person. I got like on my birthday one year, I think it was my 16th birthday, I got to a New England Revolutions game, like the front row seat right in front of the center line for $30. Like that was very good seat for $30, which is great for American sports. And to get a nosebleed seat for like the Red Sox is like $100. A horrible seat, $100. I hate it. I don't have that type of money. But I have no idea who John Boy is. So I don't watch baseball.
What I will just say for those who are critiquing him in the chat is there was one thing that I thought he was good at, and I think this is something that is very American. And if this is offensive, Jacob, by all means, call it out. But Americans are
punching off. You don't need to worry that much.
Americans are very good at selling sport as an actual something to watch. And I actually thought he was doing a better job than the people who are paid to tell us about. Like, he was making, even with his comments not being, obviously he wasn't technical, he didn't really understand the technicalities of cricket. His kind of cadence and delivery meant I was interested in what he had to say. And I think that's very specific to American sports. You can put on any American sport as a non-American, whether it be ice hockey, baseball, basketball, American football, flipping lacrosse, and commentators will make that game seem far more interesting than it might actually be, just because of how, like, all levels of sport in America are sport, from college sport up to the so I think they're just more geared towards selling sport as a exciting medium, if that makes sense. I could be wrong, but that's how it felt to me.
Yeah, I thought he did okay. He was fine. I mean, who am I to judge? I'm not exactly a commentator myself. It's very hard. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just the thing with Afghanistan. They have like two batters who are reliable. They have their openers, Gurbaz and Zadran. And West Indies don't have great strike bowling. Would honestly, Akil Hussain might be your guys' strike bowler, which is not a bad, he's your strike bowler. He's a great bowler, but having a left arm spinner be your strike bowler is a bit strange when you think about it.
Do you know why they use him like that? Because they don't trust anybody else to bowl in the power play with accuracy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally what it boils down to. Trinbago Knight Riders, it'll be interesting. I always think, whoever's in the chat will remind me, the Knight Riders use Akil in the power play, but not I don't think they use him the same way West Indies use him, where it's like 3 on the spin. So Akil being used in the power play just speaks more to the lack of or our concerns about control up front. So yeah. Listen, Jacob, I've got time for one more point before you have to go.
One more point? I don't have another point. So go USA, go West Indies, rally around the West Indies, rally around America. And I hope Scotland get there too. I love Scotland.
Well, thank you very much, Jacob. Thanks for coming on the show. And if I don't see you next week, see you soon for sure.
See you soon. Have a great day, man.
Right. Cheers. Thanks, Jacob. Right, we have 3 more callers left. We've gone over time. Yeah, Driv, I thought you'd be the one to mention Badri, but Badri was respectfully, Badri was Badri. I'm not making the comparison here. Akil has to bowl in the power play because we don't have options. Badri bowled in the power play because he was exceptional. So I don't think, I'm not quite making the comparison there. Right, okay. Who's next? The Binks. Who is T? The last person on the show is T. I've got a strong feeling it's Turbo, you know. I don't know who else T would be. If T is Turbo, can you confirm in the chat? Do you know what, people, by the way? I didn't advertise today's live. I didn't put it on Facebook. I didn't even advertise it. So big up the 301 of you who are currently here, because I didn't put it on Instagram. I didn't put it on Facebook. I didn't put it anywhere, and 300 of you are still in the live anyway. CCP, man. We're outside. Anyways, let's go to the Binks. The Binks.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, you're all good, man.
Okay, good. Just let me know if my audio is all right, if it's not too low or too
No, you're probably the clearest person on the show, even clearer than me.
All right, that's perfect. Considering I spent over $100 on this mic, yeah, that should be good. All right. First, I want to start off by saying rally. We got to rally around the West Indies for sure. But
wait a minute, the Binks. Hold on, I recognize your voice. Have I heard you somewhere before?
Nah. This is my first time. First time in this car.
Okay. All right.
First
Carry
time in
on.
this car. You got me worried now because got me thinking you are up or something. I got to watch my back, man.
Carry on.
Yeah, but I want to talk a bit about two other teams other than the West Indies. I want to talk about our brothers across the pond from the motherland, or the fellas in yellow, and I want to talk about USA. As you can see, Uncle Sam gave me a blue passport, so I gotta talk a bit about the USA. Now, if you've seen with this World Cup, right? Just want to bring up this point first. How they've been advertising it to America is a lot of comparisons with baseball. So talking about like how in baseball, you know, you stand and you pitch, but in cricket you run in and you bowl. And I just want to kind of bring that in together with the whole Uganda game that we had on Sunday. And I want to ask you honestly, like, what do you think about the whole situation with the fact that we played a baseball team on Sunday? Because those guys were pelting like baseball pitchers.
So there was a healthy discussion about this in the Discord on Sunday about the nature of the deliveries of some of them. There was definitely some pelting going on, 100%.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. So the last time I saw pelting like this, when we played the World Cup qualifiers last year, there was a bowler for the USA who it was obvious he was pelting. If there's any, I don't know if anybody remembers what I'm talking about. He was like, he bowled in the power play or in the first 10 overs or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but it was obvious he was pelting. Now, straight after that game, like maybe the next day, within 24 to 48 hours, ICC said, yeah, he's been banned from bowling. His action was reported. We are now, what day is it today? It's Monday. The game was Saturday night and nothing's been said. So either some of us have it wrong and there wasn't any pelting going on, or they've taken sympathy on Uganda and said, well, boy, you know, it's your first time on the kind of major stage at a World Cup. Like, you're down bad. Let's not accuse you of pelting as well. But the pelting was obvious. So I don't understand how we haven't heard anything.
Because the thing is that I was gonna, from the time I saw it, my immediate thought was Uganda beat Zimbabwe in order to qualify for the World Cup. Did they start pelting today? Were they pelting against Zimbabwe as well and nobody noticed? Was it just because like there was a guy from Uganda that was kind of like sledging us, and I guess maybe they went like on the 10 over break and was like, hey, pitch the ball at him. Try and bend the elbow a little bit. Maybe nobody might notice.
So I don't want to speak ignorantly here because I know bits and pieces without knowing the full kind of ins and outs of some of the associate teams. But what I would say in Uganda's defense is that they simply don't have the resources and the facilities that even we have as a full member nation, or even some of the better associate nations have, to be able to, one, play regular games under lights, for example, two, have the kind of just share like netting facilities that we would take for granted even in the Caribbean. And if we accept that, then that would mean that, of course, they would lack in the kind of financial support you need to have scrutiny over people's actions, for example. Yes, they play in that World kind of Cricket League, and people say that the stuff is streaming on this website and that website, but it's not major stage, right? I'm gonna be very careful in what I say next, right? Some people have beliefs about why the reins never returned to the international stage, right? Some people, not me, but some people have beliefs about why the rein has not returned to the international stage. Now, if that's Sunil, and if those people are correct, I can understand how somebody from Uganda would get all the way to a World Cup before anybody's really thought to say you might actually be pelting here.
All right. Yeah.
It's not an excuse, but I can see how it would have happened.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even to, like, I would say maybe there wasn't enough spotlight on Uganda playing in general. And now since they're on the international stage, I guess maybe people might be now noticing, like, wait a minute, this looks kind of wrong. But all right, beside the whole Uganda situation, my other question for you was in terms of USA. Now, USA has a legitimate chance to be able to qualify for the Super 8s. And I can tell you personally, because I got a lot of family that lives in the United States of America. I got a phone call from the States from my grandmother after the Pakistan game. And she used to live in the Caribbean, but she migrated to the USA like back in the, I think it was like the 70s. So she knew about cricket like growing up, but never used to watch it when she was living in the States. And she's calling me and asking me like how significant this is and like what channel I can watch the next game and that kind of thing. And I know this is like somebody that doesn't watch sports in general. So I'm like, my question for you is like, if the USA qualify for the Super 8, I don't think they're going to get to the semifinals, but if they qualify for the Super 8s, how big do you see that as like something to maybe revolutionize interest in cricket, for cricket in the United States? Because people are taking notice. I'm seeing clips from like CBS and CNN and things talking about the World Cup. And you know, Americans will be Americans. Americans, once they see that America's doing good in something, they're going to be in the background. USA, USA, USA. Don't know what's going on, but they're still going to rally around USA because Americans are patriotic like that. Bald Eagle, Uncle Sam, everything, you know, guns. Yeah. So
there's a couple of people I recommend that people should go and follow after this. Nate, I forgot what Nate's handle is. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh my gosh. He's gonna crucify me for not remembering his handle off the top of my head right now. But Nate on Twitter is a really good person to follow to understand. And he writes for and presents a podcast on the Emerging Cricket podcast. He's the really good person to go and follow to understand USA cricket. But what I would say is this, ultimately, I think this is the most likely short-term impact and potentially long-term impact that it would have on cricket in America if they get to the Super 8s. You could argue that already just by beating Pakistan, it will have this impact. Right. One, I think you've got to look at it in the context of soccer, as the Americans would say. The Americans got repeatedly better at soccer to such a point that in World Cups you expected them to get to the last 16, which is pretty big in the context of World Cups, right? To the point now where continually showing up on the major world stage in World Cups legitimized, to me, this is my opinion, helps legitimize Major League Soccer as a genuine outlet for American youth to take seriously. And of course, now Major League Soccer has got to a point where Messi, that was his destination after he left Europe and so on and so forth. I think the impact cricket has on America, if they manage to get to the Super 8s, is it immediately legitimizes minor league cricket from being something that only cricket diehards know about to something that more people go, oh, that cricket thing's taking place in my backyard. Maybe I'll go have a watch of it now. So I think it will end up legitimizing minor league cricket. And then, of course, it will give a massive boost to Major League Cricket. If I was CPL, I would be very, very concerned about Major League Cricket in terms of how big that is going to grow. How big that's going to grow and be known as the #1 tournament in our hemisphere. Right. Or within our region, right? CPL is going to end up being Major League Cricket's like little brother.
I wouldn't know that at all.
Right. In the same way how the Canada Global League is CPL's little brother, if you see what I mean, right?
Yeah,
so I think it has a knock-on effect on minor league cricket. It has a knock-on effect on major league cricket. And then the only downside to this is USA Cricket's governing structure is chaotic at the best of times. So there would probably need to be some kind of overhaul of the kind of men in suits and higher heads that run USA Cricket to just make sure that it isn't a one-off performance in a World Cup, then back to their usual chaos, and that they're actually able to build on it. But if any country is able to do that, I'm fairly certain it can be the United States.
Right. I saw something, I don't remember specifically which team it was, but I think USA wasn't like suggesting to England or something like before a series to like come to the USA and like have a small tour or something before they come play us in the West Indies or something.
Well, remember back in the day we used to have United States in the like Super 50.
Right.
So again, it's things like that. What will USA Cricket decide to do out of this World Cup? Will they, for example, reach out to Cricket West Indies and say, we want to be in the same way how the ECB should have done this with Ireland a long time ago, we want to be the warm-up series before people turn up in the Caribbean, and so on and so forth. We want to be part of your regional championship. Don't worry, we'll foot all the costs ourselves. We just want to be part of it, or we want to be part of your Super 50. Those would be logical things to do, but let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens.
That's how we could really wait and see. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I don't want to get hit with all the Jamaican patois on my backside. So just I'll leave it at that. Just want big up Tabo, let him get inside of the chat before the load shedding hit him, so you get a chance to talk to, and I'll call him like big up everybody. Have a good night.
No worries. Take care. Yeah. Is that Tabo though? Tabo, if that is you in the backstage, can you let me know if that's you? Because if it is you, you are going to get the final say on the show. I don't know if it's Tabo. Someone by the name of T is waiting as the last person to come in. Right, 2 more callers, people. Then we're wrapping this up. Big up the 341 of you in the live. How many likes is there, people? Someone sent me a private chat. Oh, it's not Tabo, people. It's not Tabo. I was there. Look at me promising people it's Tabo coming up last. It's not Tabo. What was I going to say? Yeah, press like, people. Sam's up next anyways. I'm disappointed it's not Tabo in the background, you know. All this time I've been getting excited going, yeah, Tabo's going to come on. Where's Jay? Where's Jay? Where's Tabo? Where's all the people with all the chest and chat in the Discord group? But now when it's actually time to come on call-in show, nobody wants to come on and say their piece. Come on, man. Anyway, Sam, let's bring you on. Yes, Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Yourself?
I'm doing very well.
Oh, okay, I just need 3 minutes. First of all, the Uganda game, we just did what happened is we just did what we were supposed to do.
Okay.
You know, there's no extra credit for anything. We should have done that with the Papua New Guinea game, and I have a bad feeling that that's going to come back to bite us if we don't win outright either the Afghanistan game or New Zealand game. Hopefully there's no complications and we go straight through and we can see other players, because I have a problem with the overall selection. I think that 1 through 7 should be your batting, with, you know, maybe 5, 6, 7 all-rounders. To me, 8 through 11 should be bowlers, whether it's spin, pace, whatever. You shouldn't be depending on 8 through 11 for any runs. And I don't know if it's because of the IPL impact, but we seem to depend on a lot of all-rounders where, you know, it seems like from 5 through, I don't know, 9, the jack of all trades. And if it, to me, jack of all trades is a master of none. And I really, now if you don't have that talent, then at the current time, then fine. But certainly we should be developing, pace bowlers and other bowlers to fill 8 through 11, especially for T20. Given that there's more room for all rounders in T20, I think. But that's just me. With regard to the US, I think the reason why soccer has been struggling all this time in the US is that the sports reporters in general are ignorant about soccer. And there's a kind of, I don't know, I can't say it's organized, but there is a force that tends to protect the NFL, the NBA, American sports, right? The big four, right? American football, baseball, basketball, and hockey. So until the sports reporters start covering cricket, I don't think that it's going to take off big in the US. Now, if the US does well, in this tournament, then people are going to jump on the bandwagon, and like the other guy say, USA, they're going to jump on it. But I don't really see it happening. So next point is the pregame coverage. I haven't been looking at because it's really poor. It's very Indian centric, and if the presenters were good, I would look at it. But I'm not really that interested in the pregame information that they're providing. It's almost like it's a IPL version 2 instead of an ICC. It's like an IPL production rather than a ICC production. So I don't know why that is.
Is that what you've noticed for most of the games, or just which ones?
All of the games.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so so for the pregame, of course, if it's non South Asian teams, they don't seem as knowledgeable. And to me, they should try to bring in. They've done it in a few cases. I think they had a Wasim Akram, for the Pakistan game. But in general, maybe it's too difficult to have someone that's knowledgeable about each team, and come, as far as the pregame. Now, the end game, during the game, the commentary on during the game is fine. But I just in the last couple of games, I've just been tuning into when the game starts, not the game starts.
It's interesting you say that. I've not watched any pre-game build-up for the whole tournament. I just literally turn the TV on or whatever on just as the game's starting. You
didn't miss anything.
Cricket's one of those weird sports. You could say that every sport does it nowadays, but it's very interesting to me that we fill our media with, generally speaking, the expertise of people that have played the game before, right? Football does this a lot as well. So people be like, right, I played 75 games for the West Indies, so I am the expert on this particular game. Now, if you think about it, this is going to sound ridiculous. People are going to come for me after I say this. What qualifications have you actually got, though? So if I want to find out about, I'll use football. Maybe it's easy for me to explain this using a football analogy, or soccer for those of you who are in the States. If I want to find out the in-depth analysis around, I don't know, the rise and fall of a particular football team, maybe it's better to hear from the journalist who's actually done the research on it, rather than hear from an ex-footballer who happened to play X number of games for any international side, but they've done no research. They haven't got anything to add other than the fact that I once played the sport before. And I sometimes feel in cricket that we fall into this trap of, well, because you played the game, therefore you are the only one who must talk on the game. And actually, not all of them, like Bish is one of the standard bearers in terms of when you hear Bish, you know that Bish has done his research. He's not just talking for talking's sake. He's thoroughly researched before he's saying what he's saying. So I think some of our cricket coverage is hampered by this need to have big star names but at a very superficial level. And that's why nowadays I don't even bother watching pre-match coverage, because I'm like, you lot ain't telling me nothing. I'm not gaining anything from your attempted analysis here. So let me just watch the game for myself. So I hear you.
Last thing, a suggestion. Maybe you've done it before because I'm new to the channel, but I've been curious about the impact of T20 and to a lesser extent ODI on Test cricket. In that, in T20, because they're limited, to 120 balls, you see batsmen reaching for almost wide outside the off stump, trying to hit a ball. Whereas in Test cricket, you let that go because you're not really limited by the number of balls to a lesser extent in ODI. So I was interested in not only just batting but also bowling as well as fielding, because in T20, I don't remember seeing on a regular basis fielders diving to save 4 in a Test match, to make it a 2 or 1 or whatever. But I've noticed in T20 that is important because of the importance of runs. And I would think that some of that may impact Test cricket one way or the other. Like there've been a couple of cases where it's a bouncer, it's outside the off stump, and to me it's a good stroke for T20 where you just flick at that ball and it goes over. Same thing with the scoop.
Yeah.
So where do you see scooping in Test cricket?
England, West Indies are about to tour England, and England are determined to play dunce and Bolsey cricket in Test cricket. So we shall see. I think if the tracks are flat enough, as England got away with for about the best part of a year, I think you can play a lot of those inventive T20 shots in Test cricket. But if a track is a genuine, even contest between bat and ball, I don't think that T20 approach works in Test cricket. The fundamentals of still being able to have a good defense will still, why is Test cricket? The fundamentals of having a good defense will always still be the premier skill that you need in Test cricket. No matter how many paddles and reverse sweeps and ramp shots and helicopter shots, no matter how many of them you can play in Test cricket, the fundamentals of a good defense find you out if you don't have it. That's my take in it. Listen, Sam, I've probably got to go to the next caller.
All right, I'm done actually. So have a good evening.
Listen, I'll catch you next week if you're on.
Yeah.
No problem. So we get to our last caller for the day. This is actually shorter than last week's show. Last week's show went on for 2 hours and something. So we might be able to finish this. Oh my God, I just looked at the time. Oh my God. Right, this must finish before midnight. Oh, you know what? Before I put tea on the show, let me just set my alarm so that I can get up. So I can get up for work. Let me just set my alarm, people. 1 second. Set this alarm, You lot out here trying to finish me. Oh, God. Right, alarm is set. T is the last caller. Let's bring him on. Yes, T.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, man. I've been trying to. I'm good, man. I've been trying to change my name on this thing since I've been on, but my name is Tyrese, so it's not P. I've been trying to change it, so that was the issue. My name is Tyrese, so I'm
Do
just
you
here to
mind?
talk some-
Okay, actually, I'm going to change it. I can do it from my end.
Mhm.
There you go. Tyrese is on the show, people.
Yeah, hello. Hello, can you hear me? Is everything good?
You're all good. You're good to go.
Okay, great, man. Well, I'm happy to get some talk on the cricket. It's been a eventful World Cup so far. It's been 2 super overs so far. It's been pretty good to watch. So, but one thing I would say that I wanted to highlight that I haven't really been impressed by has been the batting throughout this World Cup so far. I've actually been impressed mostly by, funny enough, by Afghanistan's batting against New Zealand, and I've been more impressed by USA's batting throughout the entire tournament. I think their batting has been very impressive so far for the entire tournament. Well, I went to I'm from Barbados, so I went to the Mecca on Saturday for Australia, England, and for the most part, I haven't been impressed with the batting from England in the second innings, and for the first innings, I wasn't necessarily impressed by Australia's batting, even though it was a 200 game. They scored over 200 at Kensington, and I wasn't necessarily impressed with the batting consistently by Australia because I think that they got a lot of their runs in the power play. And then for the remaining 14 overs, they pulled a little bit and hit away the bad balls. So for the most part, it was calculated by Australia in the way that they approached their batting. But the batting throughout the tournament, to me, apart from 2 or 3 teams, hasn't been impressing me. Even the Uganda game that West Indies played, I wasn't impressed with the way we batted. I think we could have gotten a bigger score, but I don't know what you make of it.
You know, it's interesting points that you're making, and I wonder if it just speaks to this is something that Santoki mentioned about a month ago. Well, when we were in the midst of the IPL, he said that he basically intimated that how many batters are going to struggle when they come over from IPL to the Caribbean, where pitches don't play as true. And you can't just hit through the line of the ball and you're going to get a 6 just by literally just connecting and just meeting or just getting to the pitch of the delivery, so to speak. And I just think a lot of players' technique has been found wanting. Now, what's going to be interesting to me, so Antigua, Scotland against Oman, Antigua seemed to play the truest of all of the wickets so far. So it's gonna be
because
gone.
Antigua has always been renowned for being
a run
good
scoring
for batting. Like you obviously
exactly.
Brian Lara scored his 400 on that wicket many years ago, and to this day, Savage still remains a great wicket to bat on. So I want to see how England is going to face their remaining games in the group and see if they can get a large score, because Phil Salt, he's very good in these conditions because he had a lot of his earlier years here in Barbados, so he's accustomed to the conditions. And I think that Phil Salt, if he gets going in Antigua, it could be that's where I think the tournament starts to pick up in the batting. I hope, because for the most part, I haven't been too impressed by the batting throughout the tournament. But I hope that West Indies, New Zealand, and Trinidad, because I'm not sure. I've been hearing a lot when I was at Kensington the other day. A lot of my people that I know within the crowd was saying that Trinidad is just as good for spin. Like the one in Guyana, like the pitch in Guyana. And I've been very disappointed by Guyana, by the pitch in Guyana. I've been impressed also by the turnout by the crowd in Guyana. So I'm happy that West Indies are getting to play some games down in Trinidad. Hopefully the atmosphere is a bit better and also the pitch is a bit better, because I haven't been impressed by Guyana in terms of the quality of cricket being that was held there. So I'm hoping that West Indies, New Zealand, the batting is going to be better there. I'm not sure if you're aware of how the pitches at Brian Lara, because I'm not too sure.
No one's really certain how it's going to go down. But do you know what's quite interesting? Whoever gets to the Super 8s, I was just, as you were talking, I was just pulling it up on my screen. So pretty much 90% of the Super 8 games, no matter which Super 8 group you're in, are being played either in Antigua at Sir Viv, Darren Sammy National Stadium in St. Lucia, or the Mecca in Barbados, right? So I do wonder if when we get to the Super 8s, that's when we're going to start to see a lot more higher scoring games. Now, obviously, you were at the game at Kensington against Australia, England. So it's going to be interesting to see how Barbados continues to, or Kensington continues to play out, because I think once we get to those venues, I'll be shocked if we see a lot of 115 plays 119 type games. If you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think so. To be fair, the pitch that everyone is complaining about is the American pitch. But I've been enjoying all the games that's been played there so far. To be honest, I haven't been. The pitch that's disappointed me the most is Guyana's. I don't know if you agree, but the only game that was impressive in terms of batting at Guyana was Afghanistan. The way Afghanistan batted against New Zealand, and then New Zealand struggled in that second inning. So I'm hoping that the semis, because I think Guyana has a semi-final.
It's the one that India have put aside for themselves.
Yeah, I'm hoping that game, that West Indies, I hope West Indies doesn't play that semi there, because I could really see if we face an India or Afghanistan or someone, because I think Afghanistan is going to make it out this group along with West Indies. I think that loss New Zealand had against Afghanistan is going to come back to bite them, and I think that we could beat them this week when we play them in Trinidad. Hopefully that gets to that. Hopefully that's the game where, as you said, the tournament starts to pick up some steam. The batting, there's much more high scoring and much more free. I'm hoping to see that outside of Guyana and outside of the US pitch right now, to see how the batting improves for the rest of the tournament. But I'm hoping to see the best out of West Indies for this New Zealand game, because I haven't really seen the best out of West Indies for these past two games, because granted, we're playing two associate nations. I guess we wanted to show them some respect in the earlier game, but this second game against Uganda, we were downright dominant throughout, batting and bowling, and along with fielding. So hopefully this game against New Zealand or Trinidad we'll be able to pick up some steam. So I have a question though for our next game against Afghanistan in St. Lucia. St. Lucia is touted to be the pitch that's going to be better for fast bowling. So I'm thinking here, which spinner would it be? Moti that will be sitting out for that game, and we bring in one of either McCoy or Joseph. Who do you think that we bring in for that St. Lucia game in Afghanistan? Because this game, I'm happy that we're playing Afghanistan in St. Lucia, because St. Lucia Afghanistan has some quality spinners. And this seems to be more favorable to the fast bowlers, and they have one or two fast bowlers like Faruqi and some other bowlers that can cause us some trouble. But we have a fairly strong fast bowling lineup. So I'm hoping. Who would you pick for St. Lucia, Afghanistan in terms of fast bowling? Would it be Joseph or McCoy?
My answer potentially changes based on what we have to do. If we're playing Afghanistan and we don't have to win, I'm playing Shamar Joseph. If we're playing Afghanistan, and in terms of who comes out, I'm taking out. Start again. If we're playing Afghanistan and we don't have to win, I'm taking out Chase and I'm playing Shamar Joseph. Because we don't have to win.
Interesting. I would have taken out multi because I mean I wouldn't want to lose a batting option because, as I said, Afghanistan has quality, but still has some fast bowlers that can cause some trouble, and we may have a collapse, and we are not necessarily blessed with the patient batting that we would have had in Marlon Samuels years ago. So Roston Chase is playing that role. I think that Roston Chase is one of those players that you can't drop unless it's like, and we don't even have any dead rubber games that we're going to be playing.
No, but that Afghanistan game,
so it could be potential.
If we don't have to win it, though, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Do you see it? So I'm only saying that in the context of if we don't have to win the game. Because if we beat New Zealand, we're through. So what happens against Afghanistan becomes irrelevant. So that's the only reason I'd do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'll play Joseph too. But
if we have to beat Afghanistan, which is a different question altogether, if we have to beat Afghanistan and I'm trying to bring in an extra pacer, I'm bringing in Obed McCoy. But you might need to ask me again in 1 week or whenever that game's going to be, who has to sit for Obed McCoy. It's a very, very good question.
So you're saying that you don't know who you're gonna drop if we don't have to beat Afghanistan. If we have to beat Afghanistan, you don't know who you'll drop.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to think about it very, very carefully. My instinct tells me.
Sorry.
Go on. No, say who you want to say.
Well, for me, I think I don't think if you go St. Lucia, you need to play 3 spinners because essentially it would be Chase, Moti, Hussein. And I don't want to take Ross and Chase. If we do have to win that game, we can't afford to drop Chase because we're going to need that steady heady in that top order. So for me, I think that it will have to be Moti or Rutherford. And if you lose Rutherford, you're losing a batting option as well because you don't want to lose a batting option because the only other batting option we have on the bench is Hetmeyer. And you're not going to drop 2 players. So if it has to be one, for me, it would be kind of harsh because he is our best spinner, as someone pointed out. It'll have to be Moti.
Listen, you must want the whole of Guyana to come after you. So,
but you're gonna still have 2 Guyanese in there. You'll still have Rutherford. You'll still have Shepherd in there. So man, you gotta give my. But you're still gonna get a Guyanese in. It's Guyanese for Guyanese, because Shamar Joseph is Guyanese too. So be coming for me. They're still getting a countryman in there, but
well,
my final question.
Yeah, go.
So I saw on Twitter earlier that the US grounds are temporary for this tournament. I'm not sure if they're gonna keep them. I'm not really too sure. I didn't read into it too much, but as a West Indian that grew up in Barbados, I one struggle that West Indies has struggled with is lack of quality facilities to develop our talent from grassroots level up until professional level. I'm thinking here, I'm not too sure of the quality of facilities in the US on display. I have to go and check it. But do you think for the future, West Indies are going to be using these grounds for like training grounds, or because I remember when I think you remember the Stanford T20, like 15 to like 20 years ago. A lot of those grounds at Allen Stanford were built in the Caribbean. Some are used for training grounds. Some of those grounds were made for the World Cup and in 2007 in the Caribbean, and some of those grounds are used today now as training grounds. So I'm thinking if, due to the lack of, I want to say, quality facilities within the West Indian region, I wonder if some of these facilities in the US are going to be used for the future by the West Indies.
I mean, I'd love to say yes, because we could do with any quality facilities anywhere, but unless Cricket USA and Cricket West Indies have entered into a partnership that's mutually beneficial, I just don't see it. And actually, if I'm even more critical, Cricket West Indies shouldn't be looking at Cricket USA for a handout. and this Santoki and I have spoken about it. We're going to do an episode on it when the World Cup is over. But there is a big question mark in my head about the legacy of this World Cup. When everyone's gone and when they've all flown back to their respective countries, what will we have built or improved that helps future cricketers in the various nations across the Caribbean? If the answer is nothing, then this World Cup was a big waste of time. But I'm going to say, I'm only giving you a little snapshot. there. I'm going to save it for a podcast episode after the World Cup is done. But you raise a very, very important point pertaining to future development. And I think it's something we're going to have to discuss at a later date.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the facilities, as some professionals has called them, it needs to improve within the region for our cricket to be sustainable and for our players to develop. So I'm hoping I have to do some research into the US grounds and see what they installed there for the Indians, the Pakistani teams, US team, what they're training on over there to see if West Indies are going to use it for future. If West Indies will be using it within the future, because it could be a case where these are temporary grounds that were made for this World Cup, and as you said, which should not be beneficial for us in the future. And I hope that due to the investment into all within the region for this World Cup, it is a benefit for West Indies in the future that the training grounds are more accessible. You know.
Right, listen, your dogs are telling you to come off the show.
Yes, definitely.
The brown dogs are saying come off the show right now.
Yes, man.
Listen, Tyrese, listen, I am going to end the show there though.
Thank you.
The dogs aren't stopping, you know.
Thank you for allowing me on, man.
All right then, listen, Tyrese, thank you for coming on.
Sorry. Take care.
No problem. Listen, Caribbean brown dogs are undefeated, you know. They knew I was about to press the button, and they were just trying to save Tyrese before I had to press the button. Listen, people, once again, we've done a live show where I said it can go no longer than an hour. And I'm looking at the time, and it has gone for 2 hours. All I can say to all of you is the following.
Suck your mama. I'm ready for run down your blood clot and gunshot you in this. And that me I tell you, you're pussy.
I've been Machel St. Patrick here at one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Thank you as ever for joining Monday Night Live. I'll be back next week with another show. Tell a friend. Caribbean Cricket Podcast. We're undefeated out here. See you lot soon.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.